You're my life, you're my breath, you're a smile, you're my guest. You're the earth, you're the sun, you're the grass, you are love. You're my hands, you're a bug, you're my eyes, you're a hug. You're the light in the dark, you're the spark, you are fun. You're my mom, you are water, you're the stars, you're my daughter. You're my friend till the end, you're my dreams, you're my father. You're the ants on the ground, the miracles that surround. I'm feeling it all around, the hemisphere in the clouds. You're my pain, you're my sorrow, you're my hope for tomorrow. You're the strength when I'm hollow, you're the path that I follow. You're the blessings that exist, the small things that are bliss. The gift to realize that everything
all
is a gift.
that I am, all that I see, all that I've been, and all that I'll ever be is a blessing. It's so amazing, and I'm grateful for it all, for it all. Grateful for it all.
You're the blessings every time I try to count. You're the lessons that I learn every time I turn around. You're the water when I'm burned every time I think I found everything I'm looking for. You're the sign saying stop to take a bow and keep moving forward and start looking towards your heart. It'll open all the doors and only then you'll start to hear the world singing chorus with your mind and heart. Aligned in purpose, everything
All
will feel
that I
gorgeous.
am, all that I see, all that I've been, and all that I'll ever be is a blessing. It's so amazing, and I'm grateful for it all.
Every day I sit and pray cause what I have is more than I deserve or could ever imagine. How do I give back to all of this magic and spread the love so everybody can have it? Doesn't matter if I'm rich or poor, if I got a family or if I'm all alone. Bad things happen, I can just complain and moan. But there's a million things that I can be grateful for.
So I lift up my hands now, and I open my heart, and my gratitude goes out to everything near and far. All that I am,
Everything I am and everything I see, everything I hope and everything I dream, everything I feel and everything I be. I look deep down and feel all the blessings. Everything I am and everything I see, everything I hope and everything I dream, everything I feel and everything I be. I'm grateful for it all. It's amazing. Everything I am and everything I see, everything I hope and everything I dream, everything I feel and everything I be. I look deep down and feel all the blessings. Everything I am and everything I see, everything I hope and everything I dream, everything I feel and everything I be. I'm grateful for it all. It's amazing. You're the blessings that exist, the small things that are bliss, the gift to realize that everything is a gift.
Ready?
Standing outside the door of love and mercy, you wonder if faith there for you. You know there's peace inside, but still you're searching for someone who understands the pain you've been through. Place is open, calling out your name. Come on in, welcome home. You are loved, you belong here now. No matter where you've been, come on in, come on in, come on in. There is room enough in the home above for someone just like you. Come on, what love you belong here now. No matter where you've been, come on in, come on in, come on in.
Good morning. Good morning, good morning. Are we a little too lively for anybody out there? Come on in. Pick up the pace. It's all good. Welcome to Unity of London. We're so glad you're here this morning. Is there anyone here for the very first time? Welcome. Yay. Thank you for coming out today. At the back of the sanctuary, you'll find a table with some information and also a blue piece of paper that you can give us your contact information so we can stalk you. No. Whoops. Sorry. Different organization. No, we would love to send you an email weekly and let you know what's going on here at Unity of London so that you might come out and join us again often, hopefully. So welcome to everyone here at Unity of London. I forgot what's next? There we go. Special announcements. We have Pauline. Yay, Pauline. Woo-hoo. No, I'll be okay.
This is a special announcement about next Sunday. Next Sunday at 2 o'clock, everyone in this room has an opportunity to provide a real outreach to the residents at Glendale Nursing Retirement Home. As you know, we've been going there. Some of us, a few of us, a very few, have been going for the last several years. We usually go on a Sunday, and our service begins at 2 o'clock. It's only half an hour. We sing, we bring greetings. The residents are so incredibly appreciative. All you have to do is look out at the faces of people who are confined to a nursing home and see them watching and engaging in the singing. I really urge you, please try to come on out. You don't have to be a super singer. You just have to have a heart of compassion. And our Unity of London community does have that heart. Yes, it's extra time out of your day, but it brings a smile and a comfort to people who most need it. And you never know. Jim Chapman and Carlin are coming out next Sunday. Yay! Yay. And I hope you come too.
Thanks, Pauline. Does anybody ever feel like they're kind of tied down, locked into an old habit they want to get rid of, or some old thoughts that just won't, stop going round and round and round and round and round? Kind of like you're attached to or you're chained to something. I invite you to consider coming out coming out in January for a weekend, a great retreat with Reverend Laurie, and it's about breaking release yourself from the chain gang. 2019, a year to break free. A spiritual retreat is a real treat. If you've never been on one, you're not sure, but we have fellowship time. We have time of silence and prayer. But one of the greatest gifts that Rev Laurie brings to us, I do believe, here at Unity of London, is her ability to teach us, to help us to have a better understanding, not only through her words, but she always has great activities for us to participate in. And what is it? It's $150, is it? No, $290. Yeah. Too small here. But for $300, $295, you get Friday night, all day Saturday, part of Sunday, with some wonderful people. Some of the people that are right here, or perhaps some of your friends and family that are looking to break their chains. So it's open to Unity and non-Unity people. You get to spend time with Rev Laurie. You get time to spend time with yourself. And that's probably one of the greatest gifts, and of course, time with your higher self. It includes your accommodations, and the Michaelite House is a real treat. I'm already been signed up for fire duty. I'll have the fire stoked and keep you warm as we gather around to pray and meditate and laugh and giggle. You get the training, you get the food. We always have great food. If you're on a diet, you don't need to worry, because before we start, all the prayer chaplains and everybody gets together and we just pray over the food that it has absolutely no calories. It is nothing but good, nourishing stuff. Because there's usually some home-baked butter tarts, and it's all, of course, home cooking. So if you have any questions, come see myself, see one of the board members, see somebody, just ask anybody. Have you ever been to a retreat? And I would bet my bottom dollar you won't find anybody that says it was a waste of my time. And it's for you. In the new abundance classes that we've been doing that were designed by a Unity minister, those of us when we talk about tithing, we learned about tithing our time, talent, and treasure. And we were taught about tithing that time to an organization. But Reverend Ken talks about tithing time to yourself. And at the first of the year, end of the year, we all, do a little study and reflecting. So make some real changes for 2019 and come on out and have some fun with us and some time of great reflection at the retreat. Sign up. There's only so many spots. Okay, so next would be our vision. So here at Unity of London, we enjoy and share in the same vision as most of the Unities worldwide. So let's affirm this vision together. A world powerfully transformed through the growing movement of shared spiritual awakening. I was backwards. No, that's right. Vision, mission. Okay, Sylvia. Excuse me a moment. Okay, I'm back. And we have a mission here at London. Let's share that. We are a loving, inclusive community, co-creating with spirit to transform lives. Yay. And now we get to sing again.
Swing wide the doors, the time is right. Swing wide the doors to let in the light. Bring in the dawn for humankind. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine. Swing wide the doors, the time is right. Swing wide the doors to let in the light. Bring in the dawn for humankind. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine. I'm not holding it in anymore. I'm gonna shout it out loud. I understand now what I'm here for and what this life is about. It's about love, it's about laughter, it's about comfort and smiles. It's about love, it's about kindness, it's about hearts open wide. It's about love, it's about passion, it's about making a chance. It's about love, it's about service, it's about lending a hand. About lending a hand. Swing wide the doors, the time is right. Swing wide the doors to let in the light. Bring in the dawn for humankind. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine. There's a voice that I've heard for years. I learned to keep it inside. Well, now it's coming loud and clear. I want to keep her alive. It's about love, it's about laughter, it's about comfort and smiles. It's about love, it's about kindness, it's about hearts open wide. It's about love, it's about passion, it's about taking a chance. It's about love, it's about service, it's about lending a hand. It's about lending a hand. Swing wide the doors, the time is right. Swing wide the doors to let in the light. Bring in the dawn for humankind. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine. Swing wide the doors, the time is right. Swing wide the doors to let in the light. Bring in the dawn for humankind. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine. Swing wide the doors
Good morning, friends. Unity's foundation is affirmative prayer. If you wish prayer for someone else or for yourself, you're invited to use our prayer box, which is up front on the table. Just put a first name of the person on a piece of paper and place it in the box. No need to explain the situation, as Spirit is all-knowing. It will be prayed over here at Unity by our prayer angels for 30 days and then sent on to Silent Unity for additional prayer. And remember that 24 hours a day you can call 1-800-NOW-PRAY to reach Silent Unity, where people have been praying with and for others for over 130 years. If you wish private one-on-one prayer, we have a prayer chaplain available to pray with you following today's service. And you can meet our prayer chaplain in the prayer room, which is just out through the fellowship hall, up the stairs at the back, and down the hall. And the prayer chaplain will be there waiting for you. Today's prayer chaplain is Mary Ann. Please come forward and lead us in a prayer.
That's okay. This is going to touch my chin. I left my name plaque at home, and I was quite worried about it. I was whining about it, apparently. However, it's okay, because as far as I'm concerned, we're all prayer chaplains, so I don't need to identify myself differently from you. So, let's go to that still place within, and let's join as one in thankful prayer to the divine source, the source of all the gifts that we have received. Let us give thanks to all who have touched us with their divine love, and let us rejoice that we have that same power to touch others in exactly the same way. To those of other faiths and practices who share in the understanding of the divine Spirit, God, we are as one in spreading the word. To those in the Unity community throughout the world, and especially to our prayer chaplain sisters in Kitchener, we say thank you and are as one with you. Be calm, trusting all is well everywhere. Breathe in the divine love as it fills our hearts, and let us be grateful for the love that we as one with the divine Spirit are able to give to everyone, anywhere. Now may be the time that you wish to silently send forth a little extra love to those who may be in need. For there is always enough love for all, and there is enough to share. Our prayers are always acknowledged, and our needs are always met. Today, let us go forth in compassionate, loving kindness, knowing that all will be well. Peace, harmony, and universal love begins with each one of us as one in Christ. And so it is. Amen.
And now a message from our daily word brought to us by Silent Unity. In the moment, I am grateful for the gifts within each moment. Every moment exudes infinite possibility, and I'm grateful for the gifts each moment offers in my life today. Still, it's not always easy to remember the power of possibilities that lie within every moment as distractions claim my attention. Retreating from the external by turning within, I center my awareness in God and my divine identity. I anchor myself in the now moment, appreciative of its power and open to its gifts. It is by tuning in to this moment that I feel the light and love of infinite spirit. Acknowledging that the source of all I need is within and all around me, I relax into the peace of each powerful moment. I joyfully affirm, I am grateful for the gifts within each moment. See, now is the acceptable time. See, now is the day of salvation. 2 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 2.
This is a tune that we wrote last summer, so you've heard this before. If any of it's familiar and you want to hop in, sing along, please feel free. Sometimes you go to church on Sunday morning and you leave there feeling fine. But then comes Monday morning and your life feels out of line. The rest of the week it's all the same. You struggle right along. If you don't want to live that way, please listen to this song. 'Cause we should live by Spirit every day. We should live our faith every way. From Sunday through to Saturday. Light and show the way. Live by the Spirit every day. Now Spirit gives us wisdom to know what we should do. Faith can give us courage to see the challenge through. It's up to us to fill the cup, be the best that we can be. So make the choice and raise your voice and sing along with me. We've got to live by the Spirit every day. We should live our faith in every way. From Sunday through to Saturday, shine the light and show the way. Live by the Spirit every day. There's so much that we can learn, some that we can teach, and the best way to a happy life is practice what you preach. So buckle down and buckle up, let love sweep you along. Spirit wants what's best for you, so join me in this song. 'Cause we should live by the Spirit every day. We should live our faith in every way. From Sunday through to Saturday, shine the light and show the way. Live by the Spirit every day. Live by the Spirit every day. We got to live by the Spirit every day.
Woohoo!
Oh, words to live by. Live by the Spirit every day.
You know, there's often many reasons why you should sit in the front. We have extra entertainment. You might get to see him a little later when we sing again. You're awesome. Yeah. What's his name? Kaz? Kaz. You'll be seeing him regularly on Sundays. But you need to sit in the front area.
You should make him part of the band, do you think?
Yeah. Get a contract going. Well, we're in for a real treat today, I do believe. I mean, we always have great speakers here, but this lady, Wendy Karr, apparently sharing herself with many of the unities here in Ontario, mainly Southwestern. And here we are. We have a treat to have you today. So Wendy began her unity journey in 1984. Since receiving her licensed Unity teacher status in 2000, she has taught and spoken in Unity churches and centers throughout Ontario, and she's been down to the United States. Her background in history and archives gave her the opportunity to volunteer in the Unity Village archives, which has greatly enhanced her knowledge of Unity history and teachings. That would have been fascinating. When not speaking, Wendy attends her home center, which is just down the road a little bit in Mississauga. So let's give a real warm Unity of London welcome to Wendy Karr.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I am so thrilled to be here. I was thinking about it as I was driving in. I think the last time I spoke on a Sunday at Unity of London, you folks were on Oxford Street. That's a little while ago. Yeah. So one of the challenges of being the last Sunday of the month is everybody takes all the good stuff. Because I had sent in this title, and I had an idea, and then I watched Reverend Laurie's 2 talks, and I went, okay, rewrite. Do we have batteries? We have batteries. Awesome. So the quote that I chose from our continuing series of Oprah's book reads, "Ego is an imposter, imposing on the real you, making you think you are something you're not. True self-esteem is realizing that the stillness and presence in me is the same as the presence in all people." And I had to think about, okay, how do I take that and make it kind of a unity talk? Well, some of you know me already. Some of you are just meeting me for the first time. So you may not realize I'm a Bible geek. This is Unity Village, by the way. I just needed a background. I just finished teaching a class in Bible at Hamilton, and I have 3 empty shelves and 4 boxes to unpack and put all my Bibles back on the shelf. So I decided to take this and say, okay, well, let's go for a Bible story. Let's go back to the roots of Unity, because our co-founders, Charles and Myrtle, were very big on Bible, very big on the teachings of Jesus. And the early writers, sometimes I get surprised at how much they were into the Bible. But then you have to remember, psychology and science hadn't figured out what they had already figured out about the power of the mind and the power to heal and the power to be prosperous. And everybody else is just catching up with us. So the story I've chosen is out of the book of Acts in multiple places. And it deals with Saul, also known as Paul. And I've chosen this because we really get a story as we go through his life of the ego being replaced. And I thought, how perfect is that? So let's talk about his early days. This is a photo from Tarsus, which is where he grew up. Now, his father was a Jew, and his father was very committed to the Jewish faith and kept the family in very much of the tradition and the rules and the customs of Judaism. Now, Tarsus was more of a Gentile or non-Jewish city, so it's most likely that Saul, while he was being trained at home and in the synagogue, he was also exposed to Greek teachings and also teachings of other religions. For those of you who know a little bit of history, you might remember the idea of the Pax Romanus, which was the idea that the Roman Empire figured out they could control people better if they let them have their religion. So we have this growth of Saul, and when he comes to the time where we would now say he was bar mitzvahed, that he decided he wanted to be a rabbi. Now, I learned something in researching this, and that was rabbis weren't generally paid. You were expected to have a trade to fall on to support yourself while you did your spiritual work. And Saul became a tent maker. When he was 15, he decided to go to rabbinical school. And it's kind of interesting to me that he would do this, because one of the things that we know about Saul is that he became one of the Pharisees. And the Pharisees were very well known for being people who were very letter of the law. If you know your Gospels, you may remember that in the 23rd chapter of Matthew, Jesus goes on and on and on about, "Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites." Because what Jesus saw, and Saul didn't really see it for himself, was that the ego was at the forefront of his understanding of spirituality. And that's not to say it's wrong or bad or anything like that. It was what it was. But for Saul, trying to follow all these rules that the ego was imposing on him wasn't working. And if you go through the book of Acts and read and part in other epistles that he wrote, you'll see that he comes to a place where he's just so overwhelmed by the law that he has to follow. And he's realizing that he's really not feeding himself spiritually because he's too busy doing all this outer stuff and not really finding time for the inner stuff. I'm just going to pick up my notes. So what happens here is that his ego and his need to be correct in his understanding of the law and expressing this understanding of the law is that he is aware of these people that call themselves the Way. And these are the disciples of Jesus after Jesus has left the planet. So we're past the crucifixion, we're past the ascension, we're at that after time. And some of you, if you've come, particularly if you come out of other faiths, you may remember the story of Stephen. And Stephen preaches and declares in the synagogue that Jesus was the Messiah. And Saul is so incensed that he ensures that not only is Stephen stoned to death, but that he's there to watch it. And we could get into the whole metaphysics of that, but that's another class, and Rev Laurie made it clear I had to stick to 20 minutes. So Saul is so upset. His ego is so upset about this blasphemy, about these people that are challenging his outer sense of right and wrong, that he gets permission to go to Damascus, where he hears that there's a group of them. And I've drawn from the writings of Elizabeth Turner, who was one of our great metaphysicians. And she writes, "As Saul was walking to Damascus, he was thinking of Stephen. He could not forget the spirit in which Stephen had met death. Stephen was at peace with his Lord. Saul was not." As Oprah said, as I quoted at the beginning, ego is making you think you are something you're not. So if you may recall the story, if you've heard it before, reading from the book of Acts, "Now as he was going along and approaching Damascus, suddenly a light from heaven flashed around him. He fell to the ground and heard a voice saying to him, 'Saul, Saul, why do you persecute me?' He asked, 'Who are you, Lord?' The reply came, 'I am Jesus, who you are persecuting. But get up and enter the city, and there you will be told what you are to do.' The men who were traveling with him stood speechless because they heard the voice but saw no one. Saul got up from the ground, and though his eyes were open, he could see nothing. So they led him by the hand and brought him into Damascus." So we have a change of awareness here. We have a conversion from his sense of what has to be done out here. And he's blinded. He can't see what needs to be done out here. And he's brought in, and we're told that Ananias will teach him and feed him. And over time, fast track the rest of the book of Acts, Saul becomes baptized and changes his name to Paul, which may be more familiar to us. So what happens here is that Paul moves from the outer to the inner, from the ego that is so demanding of being in this particular place at this particular time, doing this particular action, to being inside in the inner part of himself. And he writes in Romans 12:2, as you can see, do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind, that you may prove what is the will of God, what is good and acceptable and perfect. In other words, don't worry about what the external wants. That'll be your ego talking. Listen to your inner self. That'll be the authentic self. And going back to our co-founders, Charles Fillmore, one of the phrases that Paul uses is, I die daily. And that one always confused me, even when I came into Unity. But Charles writes, the I that dies daily is personal consciousness, formed of fear, ignorance, disease, and the lust for material possessions, pride, anger. By constantly denying the demands of the personal self, we grow into the divine image. And by denying, he's not saying put on blinders and don't see it. What he's saying is deny the power that it has over you. One of the things that people laugh about with me is, I don't wear makeup. I don't buy into that. And that's fine. That's my choice. That's my place. So I have chosen an action which denies that power of commercialism over that part of me. So we move into a place that is more of a sense of mindfulness of what it is we are doing, what it is we're thinking, what it is we're speaking. Another quote I found rather helpful. This is by Charles and his second wife, Karr, which is a whole other story. Myrtle had already passed. It's okay. We know what Paul meant when he said there is a natural body and there is also a spiritual body. The true temple in the body of Christ is a state of consciousness. In the innermost center of every person, the indwelling Christ resides. Now, Christ is a term we use in Unity to mean that inner divine. At Unity of Mississauga, my home church, we actually, one of our artisans made a beautiful circle for us, and it has the symbols of all of the various major world religions around it, because that's the whole thing, is that it's all oneness. We're all on a wheel with God, or whatever you want to call the divine, at the hub. Sometimes it looks like we're going to T-bone each other because of where we're at on our path, but at the end of the day, we're all heading in the same place of oneness and mindfulness, and coming to a place of peace and harmony within ourselves and within the world. Paul wrote extensively of his new spiritual understanding. Sometimes it was in direct conflict with the teachings he had been brought up with, such as the idea of an indwelling Christ. I haven't found that anywhere in the Old Testament. It's not a term that's used. But what had happened was that there had come an understanding, an awareness that needed a new word to describe it. I think about my own life and all the words that they keep adding to the Oxford Dictionary because we haven't had that before. I was thinking about when I graduated as an LUT and started teaching. I did not have PowerPoint. That didn't exist yet. It's not that long ago. But the term of the Christ, in Unity, we mean that to understand that it means it for all of us. Even if you're not of the Unity or Christian background, you still can attract the Christ because it's there regardless. It's just finding the language. And finally, one of our other Unity teachers, Emily Cady, who wrote Lessons in Truth and this book, How I Use Truth, and Paul, realizing that when he played less confidence in the mortal than he had, that he had more help from the divine, said, when I, meaning the mortal, am weak, then I am strong. And I got thinking about this, particularly, most of my friends don't follow a spiritual path. They've given up on it. When my godson turned 18, he told his mom in no uncertain terms he was leaving church. And I support his path. It's his, not mine. So how do we get this statement, though, into something that we can wrap our minds around without getting caught up in God and Jesus and Christ and stuff? And I found a quote by Benjamin Jowett, who was an Oxford scholar. And he noted is that the way to get things done is not to mind who gets the credit for doing them. And I got thinking about that because the ego wants the credit. The ego wants everybody to know what it did, what it caused to happen. But the Christ or the divine or the mindful part of us doesn't really care. In fact, a lot of the time, I have found that when I'm doing something with others in a Christ consciousness or in that consciousness of we don't care who gets the credit, we just want something to happen, big stuff happens, not little stuff, big stuff happens. And so that perhaps is our goal for this week, is to move away from that outer-centered ego that wants us to look alike, talk alike, and move towards the Christ itself that wants us to be the perfect being that we are in all things. So I'm suggesting a rewrite to Oprah's. Ego is an imposter, imposing on the real you, making you think you're something you're not. True self-esteem is realizing that the stillness and the Christ presence in me is the same as the Christ presence in all people. I thank you. And let us prepare for our time of meditation. As I shared earlier this morning with the prayer group, paraphrasing a favorite poem, I was regretting the past and fearing the future when I became aware of the divine. And the voice said to me, when you regret the past, all its mistakes, all its burdens, it is difficult, for my name is not I was. And when you live in the future with the unknowns and the challenges and the fears, it is difficult, for my name is not I will be. But when you live in this now moment, it is much easier, for my name is I am. And I just invite you to allow my words to be your words, and move into a place in your body where you feel that connection, where you feel that sense of oneness with the world, with your family, with the people sitting around you. And we just take a few breaths. Heart to heart, hand to hand, soul to soul, we join together. And we open with great gratitude for this opportunity to come together in this now moment, to travel for a while with fellow journeyers. To share after service conversation with folks who share similar language, perhaps some similar steps on the path. We just take a moment to bless the world, to acknowledge that there are things happening that upset us, that anger us, that make us wonder, where is God in all of this? And to acknowledge that we may not be part of the problem, but we can be part of the solution. Simply by saying, I am willing to be a light to this world. To feel that sense of oneness to feel that ability to connect with another. To know that a simple smile at a stranger as we pass on the street is a divine connection. We hold in light and love the names in this prayer box and in prayer boxes throughout the Unity movement and in all spiritual organizations. We hold to the belief that it is well. You are not alone. We are holding sacred space with and for you. Heart to heart, hand to hand, soul to soul. We join together in this awareness. We make the choice to ignore the ego and to take this awareness of our inner self with us. I am willing to be a light to the world. I am willing to be a light to the world. And in this consciousness, we give grateful thanks for our time together, for this place. So it is.
Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah,
Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah.
Now it's our time for giving and receiving our tithes and offerings. Let us affirm our prosperity together as our greeters pass our offering bags. If you've been holding an intention card, we ask that you place them in the offering bag as well. We see those intentions unfolding now. Intention cards are available at the back of the sanctuary and are a statement of what you want to achieve, either as part of your plan for today or for your life.
it again. I had my wrong cue card. Sorry for that. Here we go. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And so it is. Well, you folks did a great job on the last special tune that we did. We're going to ask you to join us in this one too, because you've heard this before, I'm sure. And let's kick the roof off this place. I want you to kick the roof off the place.
There's just one presence, there's just one light, shining in the world like a beacon in the night. There's just one power we all can share, one great power everywhere. One great power, one great love, big as the ocean and the skies up above. One great spirit waiting in prayer, one great power everywhere. There's one great power everywhere. There's just one purpose, there's just one spark, burning in our souls like a candle in the dark. There's just one chorus we all can sing, one great power, let it be. One great power, one great love, big as the ocean and the skies up above. One great spirit waiting in prayer, one great power everywhere. There's one great power everywhere. One great power, 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 one great power everywhere. There's just one presence, there's just one light, shining in the world like a beacon in the night. There's just one power we all can share, one great power everywhere. One great power, one great love, big as the ocean and the skies up above. One great spirit waiting in prayer, one great power everywhere. There's one great power everywhere. There's one great power everywhere.
Oh, once again, you did a great job. You did a great job. Thank you so much.
Oh. Let us join again together. Money is a symbol. And this is the symbol of the energy of the love and faith and strength and order of this spiritual community. And we bless the gifts, we bless the givers, we bless the receivers, knowing that all is well. We are provided for. God is good all the time, and all the time, God is good. So it is. Amen.
Okay.
Well,
Wow.
yes, it's that time, isn't it?
That's that time. We didn't have children's ministry outside, but we had it inside. Yes, I don't believe there was a... Is there still... Oh, there is. Okay. Let's welcome in the children. What's the song again?
We are walking in the light of God.
Walking in the light of God.
Light of God. We are walking in the light of God. We are walking in the light of God. We are walking in the light of God. We are walking, we are walking, we are walking in the light of God.
We are walking, we are walking, we are walking in the light of God. We are walking in the light of God. We are walking in the light of God.
Okay, Linda, tell us what you did today.
Good morning, everybody. Can you hear me now? So, we spoke about fear and love because there's two emotions that run the universe. So, the acronym we learned today for fear was
Love.
the acronym we learned for fear today was, it's right here, baby. Remember? False evidence
Evidence
appearing real. So that's what we learned about today. But who we really are is what, guys? Who are we really? Let's turn those over. What are we?
love. Love.
Love. And what we noticed. Can you say love, baby?
Say love.
Can you say it?
Say love, Cass.
He knows who he is. Yeah. There you go, sweetie.
He's a dancer.
He is. So when we were talking about fear, I noticed the energy in the room changed. And it changed inside them. And then we spoke about love, it opened up. Right? We love what? What do we love? We're going to talk about all the things these guys love. What do you love, sweetie? What is some of the things that you love on here?
Basketball, soccer ball, football.
What about you?
I love my family, including my baby brother. I love dogs and cats, and tigers and wolves.
Nice. What about you, babe? What do you love?
I love Nicholas.
That's him. Her big brother.
I love Whiskers. I love Halloween. I love my birthday. I love my cousins. I love Quebec. Music. I love music. And I love slime.
Slime. What about you, baby?
Oh, I love horses and cars and cats and dogs.
And his mother. I did want to read one little thing out of the book, Conversations with God. It deals with the fear and love, and I love the way he describes it in the book. So he says, love allows us to stand naked. Fear wraps our bodies in clothing. Fear clings to and clutches all that we have. Love gives all that we have away. Fear holds close. Love holds dear. Fear grasps. Love lets go. Fear rankles. Love soothes. Fear attacks. Love amends. Thank you so much. Thank you, guys.
Okay, this one. So together, let's bless our teacher and children.
Yes.
We love you. We bless you. We appreciate you. And we behold the light of God shining as you. Yay. And now we're going to sing our peace song.
Let there be peace on earth and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace place that was meant to be with God the Creator. Family all are we, and walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my solemn vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth and let it begin with me.
So as you're going out and about this week, if your ego starts to try to dim that light, let your Christ light shine even brighter. Just go inside. And the prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Yay, God.
Spread the word of what unity can offer. Spread the word of the message that you heard. Spread the word of what it means to you in your life. Spread the word, spread the word, spread the word. Spread the word of all the things we shared this morning. Spread the word. You're surrounded here by love. Spread the word. That our doors and hearts are open. Spread the word, spread the word, spread the word. Spread the word to anyone who's lost and lonely. Spread the word as you go forth from this family. Spread the word. Spirit welcomes all who come here. Spread the word, spread the word, spread the word. Spread the word of all the things we shared this morning. Spread the word that you're surrounded here by love. Spread the word that our doors and hearts are open. Spread the word, spread the word, spread the word. Spread the word, spread the word, spread the word. Spread the word, spread the word, spread the word. Great week, everybody.
Is it on?
Let's go. You guys can go have a treat.
Community outreach team, please grab a coffee and come on back so we can meet real quick. Do you hear me? No. Community outreach team, grab your coffee and come on back in here for a quick meeting, okay? Thanks.
There you go.
Where should I put the dailies?
Hello. In the office.